Good morning, YouTube and Twitter. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. Posted this on Friday, I believe, saying if you guys give me 30 likes and retweets, I'd do a video lesson on triangles, what to look for as hints. So we can go through that. We'll also mainly be focusing on the ETH chart today. So if you're interested in that, we'll be going over some TA on ETH. Do a little lesson on triangles in here. I don't think it's a triangle anymore, but we'll go over that. So yeah, let's get into it. We're working on this ETH count here. I believe an impulse. There is also the secondary count, which I have right here. Funky little ABC. I don't love it, but definitely something to watch if we do get very bearish here. But let's start here. Let's start on this move and why I think it's an impulse to begin with. So the biggest issue with this as an impulse is this part right here, and there's a couple pieces that aren't great. First of all, leading diag 1 here, this looks more corrective to me. It really does. It's tough to dig a 5 out of there. This almost looks impulsive. It looks like a pretty good flat, I'm not gonna lie. Also, the second 2 breaks the 1-2 base channel trend line, which is also not something you want to see, but it does not invalidate, and it gets quickly back above. So that is the biggest issue with this count, and I think that is probably the only issue with this as an impulse. It channels great. If you take your base channel, where's the 4? Well, we break out of it on the 3rd, which is quite common. The 4 comes back. Are we on log here? The 4 comes back, kind of finds support along this upper trend line, and then the 5th breaks out. If you take your 1-3 channel from the top of wave 1 to the top of wave 3, project it from 2, 4 often comes back and tests that. Pretty darn close there, so that's pretty good. And then if you another thing to look for in an impulse, the length of wave 1 projected from 4, you're normally looking for around a 1-to-1. Pretty damn close. I like that. Length of 3 projected from 2, we're looking for about a 1.618 or more. We get that. So other than this little flat part in the middle here, I think this plays really well as an impulse. You also have perfect alternation. So sharp 1 of this purple, sideways 4. Flat. Good alternation. In this second one too, sharp 2, sideways 4 with the expanded flat. So good alternation there for the impulse. That's why I'm under the assumption, and as my primary count, that this was an impulse, and we're working on some sort of B wave here. Probably up to maybe this pivot or more. 50 lines up well with that pivot, so this will be a very, very, I would say, shortable zone if we get up there. I don't think this B wave is done. I think it's too short in time. I'll dig in here and I'll do a little lesson on triangles, but let's flip over to the other count and tell you why I don't like it, but why it's valid. So obviously huge extension in the C, pretty uncommon. I think it's like a 272. Yeah, so that's pretty uncommon for a C. This part plays better as a B, but then you get overlap. You don't have invalid overlap because no part of this wave, I think, depends on where you put the wave 1. You can put it here and go ABC, or you can put it over here, go ABC. It doesn't really matter. Wherever that is, let's just go with the higher pivot. You still don't invalidate it here because the end of wave 4 does not overlap it. Wave 5 is slightly longer than this wave 3. Or slightly shorter, sorry, doesn't make the 1-to-1. So you have an extension in the 1, shorter 3, shorter 5. It does work. It's not the prettiest. You have 2 flats here, so you don't even have alternation in this C wave, which isn't good. Obviously, the channeling is absolutely brutal for an ABC. Like, does that look like an ABC? You get them. It does happen, but I would say this is low probability in ABC. Even if it is an ABC, That doesn't mean we are necessarily doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's definitely a possibility, but we could be doing, you know, it's still up in the air. We could be doing a W, X, Y. We could be doing a B, C. We just don't know yet. We have to see what happens if we do start coming down here, which I expect. What is the strength of this move like? Is it more steep than this? Is the volume increasing? Okay, maybe it is a third then. That will depend a lot on what Bitcoin and the S&P does, and I do definitely think the S&P is overall bearish. So, you know, maybe, and this is something you have to realize, sometimes the most probable setups will fail because of external factors like Bitcoin and the S&P. And I think that's actually what happened here on the smaller time frame. So let's dig into where I think we are on the smaller time frame of this B wave. So we get a nice little impulse down here off the high, which I called perfectly. I actually said I think we've topped here when we were like around here. So you get a little diagonal 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. I think there was a little flat here in the 2, so this sharp zigzag makes sense. And now we're working on a B wave or a 2. In terms of time, I would expect it to go a bit longer. That's why I don't think it's complete. I want to see maybe at least a 618 or a 1-to-1 that gets us up to somewhere in this zone. And I want to short that for this move. But I need to see some more clarity in here. If we zoom in even further, we had a good impulse, and then off the low of this 5, we get another small time frame good impulse up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this move has been very tricky. I thought it was a triangle for a bit. I no longer think it is. I think that failed because of what the S&P did, but we'll go over that. So when we had a 5 here up, initially I'm thinking I would love to see a nice little ABC down and long the 50 for the C wave. We don't get that. We got a very steep move which looked impulsive, but it never got the 5th wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A 7-wave swing you can either count as an ABC with an extension in the C, like this, A, B, C. You get a big extension in the C, or you could count it as a ABCW X ABCY with an extension in the Y. Either way, doesn't matter. We don't get a 5th wave, which I think everyone was expecting. So what am I thinking when that happens? I'm thinking this is a corrective, but I do not think that it's complete because how short in time it is. I'm just going to walk you guys through my thought process of this whole move and how I'm seeing it now. So when we get down here and we start to move up, we get this move. I'm like, okay, we're probably in a sideways pattern here because this is way too short in time. There needs to be more complexity. If you zoom out, it also didn't make sense that we would just go A, B, C up to here, because then that whole correction is way too short in time versus this. So it makes sense that we're doing some sort of choppy bullshit B wave here. It's tough now. It keeps getting even more complex. You know, it's a weekend. Normally you move sideways on weekends. If you get a pump or a dump on weekends, it normally gets reversed because it leaves a gap. Gaps normally do get filled, especially when we're not just in like a parabolic bull run. Gaps normally get filled quickly when we're doing this choppy price action. So why did I think this was a triangle originally, a running one at that? I thought we were doing something like this, where we had, an A, B, C, D. I wasn't sure if it was here or here. E. Why did I think this was a triangle originally? Well, Here's the lesson on triangles. Good indicators for triangles. A is very steep, and it's an ABC. What do we get here? A very steep ABC with an extension in the C. If you see ABCs like this, where it's like a small a and then a big ABC, and then something like this, you do see that in triangles. That is where you see these big ABC with C wave extensions. You see them in triangles quite often. So as soon as I see this, I'm thinking, okay, this is not an impulse down. I don't think we're going A, B, C lower. I think we're starting a sideways correction here. So right away, I'm thinking flat or triangle. Then we get another ABC up, which confirms my bias of flat or triangle. Now I'm looking for a C wave, either of a triangle or of a flat. So I was thinking A, B, C flat or A, B, C, D, E triangle. And what do we get? We do not get an impulse down as a C wave of a flat. Instead, we get a WXY. In a triangle, C waves are normally the wave that gets longer and more complex and often does a WXY. And that is exactly what we got here. So right there, I'm thinking, okay, this is starting to get more high probability that it's a triangle. And then we move up in a D wave. Quite often in a D wave, you will also get a little bit of a volume pump and a fake out because everyone thinks that we're going higher, but then you'll come back for the E. We didn't have a good E wave though. That is the issue with this triangle. It was all shaping up nicely to be a nice triangle, but we don't get a good E wave. Could it still be a triangle? It could. Sometimes in a triangle, you get a triangle in the E wave. A, B, C, D, E maybe. It's not pretty, but it is valid. But I think this move that happens after does not support it because there's not good symmetry here between the A and the C. If we had gone like this, I could have lived with the triangle, but we never got a proper E wave. And I think the reason for that is because this was just following the S&P. So the S&P, I believe, pumped here at the same time ETH broke upwards. So it could have been the triangle. But then I said, I think it was right here, if the traditional indexes dump today, crypto is in a flat. If traditional indexes stay green or sideways today, crypto has likely completed a triangle, is in a C wave. So this move here down on the S&P corresponded with this little pump up followed by a sell-off. So while the S&P is dumping, it's not likely crypto was going to pump for the C wave. I think this did have a good possibility to be a triangle, but you guys got to realize charts do not operate in a vacuum. There is external factors, especially right now when there's so much correlation between the indexes like the NASDAQ and the S&P and crypto. So sometimes you will have a high probability setup like the triangle, in my opinion here, but external factors will turn it into the other count that may have not been as probable, but because there's such correlation, you know, it's a bit at the mercy of the indexes right now. Hopefully that changes in the near future because it makes trading a lot easier when these charts are operating kind of on their own whim instead of being tugged around like a dog on a leash by the bigger indexes. So so the flat count. If you're projecting a triangle, you should always kind of have in the back of your mind, how could this turn into a flat? So when we were right here, can I find it? I think it was back. Yeah, I'm not going to go in. I think you guys remember I said, okay, if it's not the triangle, then it looks to me like maybe we're in a running flat here, where the B wave is a WXY. And we're expecting an impulse down here in the C. So that started to play out pretty damn nice. It was coming down here really steep in an impulsive fashion. I said, Look for the 1-to-1 to offer support if it is the running flat. Look for this channel. Just standard stuff for a flat. Take the length of A, projected from C. You're looking for a 1-to-1. 786 also sometimes holds it. And that's where we go, 786. But was this an impulse? It's getting a little tricky. Do we have a little tiny 1, 2, 3, triangle 4, 5 like that? And we're done here? Certainly possible, but what is this? Is this a sideways 2? Leading diag, ABC, ABC, flat, and then we're off. That is a possibility. I am long from in here. I started, like, I still have orders down here that haven't been hit. But I'm a little skeptical now because this, if this goes like this, it's not a 5. It's not an ABC flat. It's a WXY, but that doesn't have the best look. I would prefer this to get moving here. This count to me would have the cleanest look. ABC completed here, sideways shitty 2, and then we've started working on the C wave. I am not very confident in that yet. Again, this chart does not operate in a vacuum. It has been moving sideways all weekend, and I think it is waiting to see what this chart does when futures open in about 8 hours. And who the hell knows what this is doing. I see a lot of people counting this. I'm going to go over this quickly. This video is getting a little long, but I'll go over this quickly. I see a lot of people counting it like this and perhaps run a 4. Perfectly valid. Don't mind it. Issue with that is you have a good extension in the third here. Just a little short of the 1618. Issue with this count, in my opinion, is this 3 does not subdivide properly. You can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because then third's the shortest. Third of the third is the shortest. Channeling, pretty good. I think it breaks out. Yeah. So I'm down with this count. Certainly a possibility that we come down here and one more low. Whether or not that 4 is complete, you'd have, well, this could have been an expanded flat, zigzag. Could be in a sideways, come down for the 5th, and then come up for the ABC. I'm not very confident at this degree of anything in this chart. I am confident in the higher degree that we've completed an ABC, and we are doing something like this. How this plays out though, I don't know. I am still short. I shorted right here at this tip. I've taken most of my profit down here off the table because I do expect some sort of bounce here back up to some of these levels where I will look to reshort. But I am still riding about 25% of that position that I'm not even going to close. Like my stop on that is probably up here, if not higher, because I think we're going to new lows on this chart. That being said, ETH is in a little bit of a sticky spot because if this and Bitcoin goes to new lows, can it hold up? We shall see. I still like this count the most. ABC. I'll be looking to buy down here at this big volume node. If it looks like a C wave. If we are not increasing in speed and slope and volume. If it looks like a C wave, I will be buying down here for sure. I think Bitcoin is going to at least test the lows though. Like, what is Bitcoin doing here? I think maybe this impulse is not done. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe it is, like I had this before. And maybe we do something like this. But Bitcoin, it's not clear to me. I'm not really trading this chart right now. I'm focusing on ETH because I think there's more clarity. And I think whatever this sideways move is completes, hopefully soon. You know, it could be just seeing this now. It could be more to this C wave. This is a possibility. where we had, so in a diagonal C wave, you're looking for all ABCs to make up the impulse. So you A, B, C, 1, 2, A, B, C, 3, 4, A, B, C, 5. Could come down here and then go. So if that happens, if we're doing this, yeah, I'll definitely be a buyer here, looking for this C wave, and then I want to short up here. I still think this goes higher, but like I said 4 times now, this chart does not operate in a vacuum, so you got to keep an eye on BTC and the S&P. All right, guys, I'm heading to a music festival today. Looking forward to it. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.